Welcome back to another Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Rocket League has released a massive update of DLC, and Twitch has enabled uploads. So, grab your popcorn, kids.
Steam has some simple rules for early access, and by rules, we mean suggestions. By suggestions, we mean meh. And want to get started on Linux game development? Here's a couple suffixes for Pac-Man SYU.
Valve doesn't feel like charging $10 for CSGO upfront is enough. So to complement weapon skins, they now sell graffiti. And Mad Max, only just this week, has been confirmed for Linux. We even got a release date with it too.
I'm Vince Stone, here at LGC Actual, switching the bits, doing the Nightmare Fuel, joined every week by our man up north.
Hello, I am Santa Claus.
Ho ho in Space Portugal. Pedro Matheus.
There is a distinct lack of beard
2
on that
o'clock in
Santa
the morning,
Claus.
and he's not drinking beer. And together with Chat Realm Dynamic, that special little bit helping us form Cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, we'd like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. Gentlemen, I will start because, wow, it's been a fun ride. We finally hit 300 subscribers on Twitch, and to celebrate that, this evening, this very day that we did it, we're live streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, around here, I basically spent the whole week trying to get games to work on the cheapo calculator. Like low-end gaming, see what's what. Surprisingly performant if you cut the graphics down all the way.
So that's why I get woken up at about 11 o'clock saying, hey, I need you to cover a show for me, right? Aside from that,
There was that too.
I had a job interview that went reasonably well, despite me tearing into the interviewer, so that's always a good sign.
Well, there's that one thing every week that we do tear into, that is the horse.
Yes, and the horse looks like it's about 6 foot tall, and it weighs a fucking ton. It's the Steam
Update.
of the week.
Oh man, walking right into this.
He's coming.
Serious children,
He's coming.
but not
He's
the British
coming. He's
children.
coming.
Washington State has ordered Valve to end Counter-Strike gambling. Right, good luck with that. Yeah, well, if you run through the Deeble 9000, the state's gambling commission is extremely upset about not getting
Washington
their
State
cut.
Gambling Commission, just to clarify.
That is pretty much it in a nutshell. Jordan, I thought that Valve did everything in their ability by sending some very strongly worded letters to sites that allowed skin trading, which is nothing
Well,
like it
I mean, what else can you do, right? There's no other way to stop these websites. But of course, I mean, it is just it is an injunction from the state's gambling commission. That's it. It affects Washington State. And not much else. You do bring a valid point about it being the home base, but I don't think that's going to really stop Valve all that much. They can move to another state if they need
definitely could, but they absolutely did pull in this article. Well, the state did. They're like, "But think of the children. The children need to learn the responsible ways to gamble and make sure that we make money off them gambling." Pedro, there's.
Yeah, no. Valve could totally curb this, just, that API that you use to get in order to get access to your inventory and third-party websites. Yeah, we just nope that completely from existence. But for some reason, they don't want to do it. So in the meantime, the Washington State gambling thing is cracking down on them, as it were.
Well, they did bring out that, the federal judge recently tossed a lawsuit targeting Valve over the gambling issue. All I can think at the end of the day for me personally is, can you imagine being on Valve's legal team, working with them? Like, hey, this is really serious. And Valve's like, yeah, we'll think about it.
Well, at that point, you
Here's
take the
some more money.
shower
Shut
and
up.
then you just rub it into your skin, and then all becomes well, right?
Well,
But
since we're all
hey,
huge fans of,
Since CSGO gun skin gambling is a thing of the past, how about we introduce some graffiti gambling? Yes, because now graffiti, that thing that you used to be able to, use your own pictures in like Counter-Strike Source, or even the old Counter-Strike with the recent updates. You can do that for free.
Oh, okay.
In CSGO,
you got to start me way back at the beginning. Someone like me who doesn't know what the hell a Counter-Strike is.
Yeah, so there's a little option in Counter-Strike Source, which is the one I played the most, where you could actually get a picture and bind it to like a tag, so that when you were in a round, you could spray your tag in any given wall or box or what have you. There were a couple of surfaces that were bugged, so if you put your spray tag there, it would go insane. But with CSGO, on the other hand, Valve is going, oh no, this is a competitive FPS, so we want to make money out of it. More money, that is. So they're introducing monetized, limited use graffiti. Yes, you get 50 sprays out of any given graffiti, and then it's gone. You can share it, you can market it on the Steam marketplace, you can trade it with other people, you can basically, like it was a gun skin, except the graffiti is, again, limited use. That's pretty low. Something
I
that you're
was a
monetizing.
Counter-Strike 1.5 player back in the day. What tickles me about this is because it's going through Valve, it has to conform to the Valve content guidelines. One of the classic strategies was you put a picture of a naked woman as your spray.
Oh yeah.
Spray it on something, let other people get distracted, then sneak up behind and gank them. You can't do this with this system, which is completely bullshit. It defeats the purpose of the spray entirely, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, genuinely, lads, what do you expect? Valve to develop a game? They're in the business of making cosmetics and hats.
Even if they're not developing games specifically, they could not be assholes with their microtransactions. Okay, they already do gun skins. That's fine. Gun skins stay as they are for however long they stay. So that's fine. But limited use graffiti? Really? Valve? That's pretty low.
I don't know, Jordan. Do you think they're breaking the rules?
Oh, that's a sick transition there, Ben. So, you may be aware of the plethora of garbage early access games.
No.
Are we skipping over that? There we go. There it is. You may be aware of the plethora of shit early access games on Steam, and apparently there are some rules in place. This isn't complete Thunderdome in the realm of early access, but these, we'll get to the Mad Max bit a bit later, but they apparently have some rules and guidelines for publishing your game on early access, and PCGamer.com posted a copy of this. They got their hands on it. One of the funny ones they have there is don't overcharge Steam customers. And at which point the Wolfire guys are like, no. But a lot of these are just like, don't make promises. This is not pre-purchase, blah, 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 which people clearly ignore. If you look at half the games on Steam Early Access, most of these rules are not even given much of a second thought. You can go through the entire list. The link to it is in our show notes. It's on page 2 of the article. But, I mean... Valve doesn't really care either way, because they can say that the rules are there just so they can say, oh yeah, we do have guidelines. But as long as Valve keeps profiting off it, they have no incentive to change.
No, I don't think they're going to change it. They're much less never going to enforce it. Pedro, what do you think? Early access, max 2-year limit.
Valve did say they were going to can Greenlight at one point. They still haven't.
Nope.
So I'm guessing early access
$100
just
a pop for it. Do you think they're going to?
Yeah. So I'm guessing early access is just going to go down that pit, because more games, regardless of quality, means more money for Valve, and not everyone who buys a shitty game on early access is actually going to refund it. And how can they possibly enforce these rules? There's nothing to enforce here. There are suggestions. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Now that the Sura is a thing of the past, the Unity ghetto needs to move somewhere. So why not Steam Early Access?
I was about to say you mispronounced itch.io. Yeah.
Fair point. But speaking of stupidity related to Valve, this next story is just
Yeah.
Well, this isn't so much related to Valve as it is related to PC games and stroking their own opinions, as it were.
Listen, Pedro, I mean, we're talking about, should Valve sell the Half-Life IP? And I'm like, give it to Konami, man. They'll
turn it into a pachinko machine. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, no, this is the editors at PC Games then kind of stroking one another and giving out suggestions as to who should buy the a Half-Life IP, should Valve want to sell it. Of course, they're never going to. Why would they? But yeah, they give out a few suggestions, so let's go down the list. Arcane. Arcane were the developers of Arx Fatalis. You can actually play it with the open source reimplementation Arx Libertatis. You can get it, but Arcane is currently in Bethesda / ZeniMax's pocket, which means no Linux version. Therefore, no. Then you have CD Projekt Red. Do you want Half-Life to be an Eon port? Yeah, no. Then you have Deep Silver. Again, do you really want Half-Life 3 or 4 or whatever to be an Eon port?
Sounds like a good idea, comrade.
Yeah, no. Then you have Warhorse. Those people who they ran the Kickstarter for Kingdom Come Deliverance. And during that Kickstarter, they said, oh yeah, it's coming to Linux and Mac. Totally, yeah. And then the Kickstarter was over and they said, oh, maybe if and when we do it. So they're actually offering crowdfunding refunds on that one. So yeah, not that one either. id. Oh, you mean Bethesda's new moneymaker? Yeah, no. Then there's Gearbox, because, yes, Randy Colonial Marines Pitchford is exactly the kind of person you want behind a Half-Life title. These are all fucking terrible suggestions. What the hell is wrong with you people? This is just a fucking
terrible article. The entire premise is just completely pants-on-head idiotic. Why would Valve even consider selling the Half-Life IP? It's like the one thing they're known for, other than Steam and crappy early access. So what would be interesting is if Valve pulled a... What Valve would do is pull a Crow team. They actually did that before with Half-Life 2D. But, give the Half-Life license to a couple other studios, maybe some small indie ones, to perhaps produce some interesting games in the universe of Half-Life, or to maybe have some reinterpretations. That would be kind of interesting. But this entire article is just completely stupid. It serves no purpose whatsoever, and I feel stupider for having read it.
I don't. I think it's understandable. I'm not saying it's not stupid, but it is definitely understandable because it's been the time between Half-Life. It's just too long at this point. Somebody needs to do something with the IP, and I'm kind of with Truggy as I was in the show notes. I was like, maybe get some type of side story or something. Get at least Half-Life 2 Episode 3 out. Give it a Deep Silver. Cross your fingers that it's not some type of Eon port.
I'm going to go with Mr. Red there and say, give it to Devolver Digital. They know what they're doing.
But if you're just looking at the story aspect, as much as I would hate it,
this is a completely vapid article.
In the middle of a sentence, he said, for story, because Valve, the people who did Half-Life 2 are gone, man. Bethesda, they can write a story. So... Yeah, Skyrim was horrible, wasn't
it? All right, so sticking to the Valve thing.
Video Game Giant is bringing a major esports tournament to Boston. That's right. Half-Life 2 co-op. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably Dota 2. It's Dota 2.
Yeah.
Okay, 16 teams will compete for 3 million wet stinky cashes at the Wang.
It's funny because Wang means penis.
December 7th to 10th. This will follow open qualifiers, October 23rd through 26th. It's going to regional bit. So it's the Boston Major. Not as kinky as it sounds. As is no secret for this show, I know what the hell a Dota 2 is, and it's awesome that it uses Vulkan now if you put the little trigger in the launch properties. And it runs, but it's not my cup of tea. It's a MOBA, but Pedro loves it.
No, I don't. I was reading the article. I'm like, $3 million prize pool? Damn you, Flying Spaghetti Monster, for making me hate MOBAs. Damn you.
What would be kind of nice is if all the gaming stations were running SteamOS, but that's not going to happen. Why would Valve want to promote their own operating system?
No, SteamOS on their Steam machine. Wait, Steam machine? We never made those. Get away. But at least I would get some type of genuine entertainment from that tournament if they force them to play with the Areola controllers.
With oven mitts on, even.
Blindfolded in space.
Upside down.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
So. Okay, moving on to something that is actually a little bit interesting. Patch notes for 1.24 of Rocket League. If you scroll all the way past all these stuff that you can buy, $2 were fixed. An issue in Rumble mode and another issue in Rumble mode that people really are not playing all that much. If you watch their Twitch stream, they're like, Rumble mode's a thing, guys. We're going to force it into the tournaments. And it was like, okay, great. I'll go do something else. Bunch of new DLC. They do have the Aqua Underwater Rocket League track thingy. That played it, didn't crash, but I think, Pedro, you agree with me. The Linux is currently in beta.
Yes.
And it will still spite nope on you for, I mean, it's not common. But here's the issue. I've never actually traced it because the game loads so quick. It's done. It's such a fantastic port so far. And usually when it spite nopes on you, you're kind of in the zone. You want to get back and play more Rocket League. So your first thought's not, all right, let's check this out. It's like, get back in the game.
Yeah, and apparently some people on Reddit have managed to track it down to like 2 specific maps that just crash whenever it's a literal crash to the desktop. You get no error boxes, nothing. Just boom, it's dead. But yeah, when you go into certain arenas, 2 of them in specific, I can't remember the names, you just you crash. And it's really annoying too, because yeah, you're like Ven was saying, you're really getting into a game and you're sort of kind of warmed up and you just want to get back into it and the game just crashes. It's like, fuck! And you click it right back in and you go in and you queue up for another game. So yeah, I really like to see some more detailed change logs regarding Linux specifically.
But yeah, there's new antennas and new battle cars and
there's a shit ton of DLC.
That looks like a Hot Wheels car. That's all I know. That's all I have to say about this.
Says the man who doesn't drive. But, gentlemen, I do believe that we've kind of buried the lead for this show because we have some very exciting news come from our friends at Feral.
Yeah, it's Feral. It was Feral all along, and they were keeping quiet about it. Sons of bitches. But hey, it's Mad Max in a world gone mad. Only the meta survive, if you say so. It's Mad Max. It's open, what do they call it? Sandbox game, the game, because it basically takes all of the sandbox tropes in games and just
puts it in actual sand. Haha, I get it.
And there's actual sand, yeah. So
wait a minute. So this kind of looks like Shadows of Max Door, or is that what?
Yes, yeah. There's definitely a big influence from that there. But when I heard the news, I'm like, okay, so it means we can expect shit performance on AMD CPUs when the game first comes out because it's Feral. But they'll probably patch it later down the line, so me, I'm okay with that. And I'm actually willing to be gentle on them because Feral have been nothing if not consistent with the shitty performance that their ports usually launch with. So yeah, I'll probably be gentler this time. Also, from what I've seen so far, Mad Max seems to be like the Skyrim level sandbox game that we will have on Linux for the foreseeable future. And I've kind of actually been aching for some of that. So, Feral, don't cock it up.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed by this, just because this game was by the same guys who brought us Just Cause 2, and Just Cause 3. And if it were an in-house port like I was hoping for, then this is an engine port. It would be a hop, skip, and a jump away from getting Just Cause 2 multiplayer under Linux, which would make me really, really, really happy. But that's not what it is, apparently. Although, Ben, you bring up a valid point.
Well, yeah, as they pointed out in Shot Realm Dynamic, clearly it was like, this game is like, yeah, it's coming out, it's not coming out, who knows? And, it was like, oh, where's the ball? And apparently Feral got it, which is not a bad thing. I mean, hey, come on. It's not for virtual programming, so it's got that going forward. Then again, it's a Warner Brothers title, and it's supposed to come out in under 2 weeks from now. So
October 20th.
Cross your fingers it doesn't get disappeared and
we've never seen Warner Brother titles from Feral delayed. No, sir.
No, Gauntlet, Batman. No, man.
Just canceled ones, yeah.
But no, with the engine, they might have been trying to do it in-house this entire time and just flip the damn table on it. And it's like, okay, this is definitely not going to happen. Feral, I love you. Auto-playing videos on game pages, bad form, man. Serious bad form, but for fuck sake, I don't care who's porting this game. Oh, well, outside of being glad it is Feral, communicate somebody in that damn chain, because despite what you fucking think, going radio silent on a title like this for so long might cause people to forget about it. Because it's like, oh, right, that's still a thing. And when this releases, it better go on sale for single digits. I mean, we're talking less than 10 went stinky cashes, because it's done that more times than I can count. So 75% off this mother, and fun times will be had by all.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, this is probably going to be a one and done. I'm never going to see Just Cause on Linux.
Aww,
Sad.
poor little baby. Well, at least we can play some multiplayer Dead Island Definitive Edition, because they released... Nope. All right. Damn it. Yeah, including this patch. Nothing that you should... Oh, barbecue exploding meat ripper. Okay, maybe you want some of that. This piece of text, co-op network stability and group, is full of lies, is all I can say.
We got it to work once as like a fluke between me and Ben,
On
and then we couldn't reproduce it.
Accident.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I tried doing exactly what Ven did to that when he managed to connect to Jordan, and I'm like, okay, so, Burning Fool is nearby. Press J to join. I pressed J, I waited, nope, kicked out of the game immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my screen is filled with unaccounted for is trying to connect, unaccounted for is disconnected. Again and again and again.
I don't know. This is the only game I've ever seen that has joining multiplayer as a RNG element.
It's part of the game mechanics, man.
Because you never know who's on your side in the zombie apocalypse, right?
Right.
It's totally in fiction.
When I saw this announcement come up, I'm like, oh, wait, wasn't there like a toss-up between Techland and Dip Silver where they were having like a big slap fight over who should actually support the game now that it's released?
Yeah, wasn't it kind of like, wait, who authorizes support? We didn't authorize the support.
Yeah. So they were basically going backwards and forwards.
Laptop.
Yeah, they sent people on a merry-go-round. It's like, oh, Deep Silver, if you ask Techland, oh, Deep Silver is taking care of it. And if you ask Deep Silver, oh, Techland should be taking care of it because we're the publisher. But now we know who won, because if you look at the post, you see that it was posted by Deep Silver. So Techland walked out on top on that one.
But you know what? It's time to make America do that noise from Down with the Sickness again. Yeah, I can kind of do it. This is Disturb. It's a free-to-play point-and-click adventure game about depression and addiction and something or other. So basically what happens when I wake up in the morning. But it's cheap as free. It's locked at 800 by 600 because you need to get that classic 90s FMV feel to it, right?
Except there are no full motion videos.
Whatever. It's just kind of hand drawn on straight from their napkin to your eyes, but it's free to play. It might be your thing if you're into games that are a little more headier on the tin than they are on the inside. And yeah, that's really it.
That's definitely a thing. I looked at the Steam page for the game, and the first thing I noticed was, what's wrong with your trailer? Why is the frame rate so bad? No. That's like the first thing you need, because if you look at the mouse cursor, the way it moves, stupidly janky. Why?
Well,
you need to fix that.
Yeah, it's kind of like choose your own adventure where they're trying to be wonderfully delightful and quirky and killing you with every wrong option. I got killed to death twice.
So Dragon Slayer.
We do have to talk about the sounds, because it does have sound for like random transition scenes, because I'd had it cranked up. I was like, does this thing have sound? Then it did some, sea level effect of like, ooh, here's the door creaking. I was like, ah. But free to play, it doesn't require much to run. All you need is an operating system and a hard drive. You do not need a PC, memory, input.
No,
nothing.
You just have a hard drive and you throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, domo me.
Okay, so this is Aragami, not Arigato. It is a stealth ninja game that casts you as an undead assassin that can control shadows, and it definitely looks pretty. Truggles was playing this earlier.
See, a game based on a very unstealthy ninja.
Yeah, no, you need like neon pink ninjas that just blend into, I don't know, gay bars or something. But it's about $21, and it, like I said, it looks very pretty. But it immediately draws comparison to a similar game, Shadwin or Shadin or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Shadwin. Yes.
I don't care. it's an indie game. According to Truggy, it runs fairly well until it doesn't. So it's probably a Unity game.
Yeah, according to him, it is. And it has the added benefit of having online multiplayer and online co-op. So that's
which
something
could be
we may...
neat, being a ninja squad running around killing people.
Yeah, so I actually sent the devs an email, but they didn't reply. Get back to us on that. We'd love to play your game. Although we will probably play it, even if you don't send us keys, we might just buy it.
There's no escape.
All right, well, that about wraps up the Steam news section. Coming up next, we declare war. And then we talk about wobbly polygons.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, prepare for the news. But before we get to that, we have some very special people to thank. Yes, we do.
That's right. Pedro's alcohol habit won't pay for itself. You need to enable him, and you can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/LinuxGameCast or linuxgamecast.com/support the shows. And Patreon is our platform of choice because it allows us to deliver awesome stuff to you for just the minimum purchase of 5 cents. You do have to initially pledge $1, but you can get around that fairly easily. But we're at 150 some odd, 158. At 175, we get regular live streams, and at 200, you get
man. Come on, we need to hit this $10,000 a week goal so we can buy
we build a log cabin.
Baby steps, Sven. Baby steps.
Oh, okay.
Just like baby hands. Whitey's got to pay first.
Wait, hang on. Didn't we make some changes to crossing the streams just to clarify exactly what that's about?
Yes, it's not necessarily just game streams. It is anything. It could be another talk show. It could be me streaming D&D. It could be Pedro doing a meat spin on my free
man,
hands.
it's definitely going to be a good thing because that'll free us up for Tuesdays and Thursdays to prototype new shows. If we want to do that, there's no telling what we're going to come up with. I think Strider has given me the confirmation that he will sit in a corner for 45 minutes every now and then and just rock holding his brand new Lutris poster on his wall, courtesy of Jill and Steve, that were very awesome.
It's not rocking, it's spooning, man. Get it right.
Okay.
But, we have some lovely people we want to thank as well.
All right. Do it.
Yeah. Rudy upped his donation, as did Beckham C. And the Asgard High Council has not accepted my request to give us a starship, but they have increased their Patreon donation via Frere. And Daniel Y. is our brand new Patreon donator. Sorry I interrupted you, Ben. What were you going to say?
Thanks. I mean, this is awesome. We don't have to do ads. We don't have to do ad reads. And you don't have to worry about the legitimacy, like anything we review or cover. And you're getting really like a 6 for, not really a 2 for. We do this, and we also do a show on Wednesday, Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday. I do it with this Yahoo over here, who's not French, occasionally. And, sometimes he'll give you 25 minutes head start before he just runs out on you. But it keeps things interesting, and that's important. And we hope you find us interesting. And thank you for the support. We got a bunch of rewards. We're not doing this. It's like, just give us money or something like that. We're like, nah, man, go pick a reward tier that you want, and you'll get something back in return. But let's quit showing ourselves and get into some news.
I did want to mention that we actually did complete one on Patreon goals in its entirety.
That'll be coming soon.
You can check that out in a couple
worry.
weeks when that cycles to the non-Patreon thing if you're not already a donor.
Mm-hmm.
Humble.
But this week we don't start with the drivers, but we have some Humble news because Humble is having a Humble Company of Heroes bundle anniversary, what have yous. So if you pick it up at the base price for 1 or more, you get Company of Heroes 2, which is available on Linux. If you pay more than the average, you get all the DLC for Company of Heroes 2, which is fine. And if you pay $10, you get even more Company of Heroes 2 DLC. So if you remember, or if you don't remember, Company of Heroes 2, that was that real-time strategy game that Feral ported a while back. That
somehow inexplicably performed better on the AMD hex core than it did on the 6700K. Somehow.
Precisely. Yeah, there will be links in the show notes for when Jordan was asking, if they fix the performance, pick it up. If not, meh. Mm-hmm. So I ran the benchmark, and no, it's like with everything on 11 with the GTX 1080, and the AMD FX 8370E, it gets 25 FERPs on average. And no.
Yeah, I definitely tried that over here on the Ubuntu 1404, which is the best LTS as far as I'm concerned.
It's got the best packages.
With a 980 giggity package. Minimum. Not 0.51. It managed to render less than a fuck mothering frame.
Oh my.
Average 30. But I know what you're saying, but Company as a Hero is too such a visual cornucopia. It's like, no, it's not. I mean, it looks very dated and plain. But
yeah, it looks like
if you want to pick it up and you hate yourself, I mean, if you want to pay what stinky, let's see, what is it, 10? Yeah, I think 30 if you want the t-shirt for whatever reason, to play a game and wonder how something so fugly can perform so badly. Even on your quad-core Newsaw Skylake. Yeah, give it a try. The Pac-Man chart, we do like to check these out with the Homely Bundlies. Linux, a little smaller than the Macs, and a little bit under, but
For a good reason, I would say. The game.
Right.
Yeah, no, the game doesn't really perform.
So, okay. That's a thing. Moving on.
Much like Pedro.
Uploads. Open beta. Help shape the future of uploads on Twitch. Yeah, that's an option that I noticed last week or the week before or something like that. What can you expect? Porn, probably. That's probably what you can expect, Twitch. A lot of porn. Upload videos to Twitch. They're saved indefinitely. They don't spike note them because whatevs. And you can download. I do like the download option because it was easy to get over to YouTube, but we're streaming on YouTube this week because you fucked us last week, Twitch. Well, you didn't, not just us, everyone, because your API noped and you couldn't log in. And you get some stats. You really don't have to do anything special. We even have it because I think we only have like 300 subscribers. But this is going to bring some interesting things like, Content ID. That's definitely going to become an issue for Twitch, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Twitch already had that issue with people just streaming, like, blocks of programming of pirated shows. But now you can actually just upload the shows in Totem, which means that we're going to get a wonderful new DMCA system powered by Amazon's amazing automation, right?
Well, all things considered, at least for the live streams, Twitch doesn't mute you if you're playing like copyrighted music. And then again, neither does YouTube. Huh. So I don't know.
Actually, Twitch will nuke the VODs if you have.
Yeah, they'll do it in the VODs. They'll look like 30 minutes of audio if they detect so much as a fraction of a copyrighted song. But
it kind of depends because you're talking about two different systems. We noticed that like 2 weeks ago. We do have a thing, thanks to our patrons, we're able to do. It's called the Full Monty, which is the full, live VOD that'll be available on Twitch and the YouTubes. But on Twitch, because we sit on a Rocket League screen for too long and too much of one of the songs playing in the background, YouTube's like, copyright, we're going to monetize this. And they put like 9 ads. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen for like 12 seconds of a song. Twitch was like, whatevs, man. But that does bring this up. Pedro, do you think this is like shots fired at YouTube, a serious competitor? Because if they're even thinking about making this a serious competitor, they're going to have to expand the categories. They're kind of like going full circle because, Justin TV, you could stream anything. It wasn't about the categories. And Twitch started out, and they were most definitely like, it's all about gaming. It's like, well, it's about gaming and gaming talk shows, and it's about game. Oh, fuck it. Just eat some food on stream.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are actually expanding the categories. Slowly, very, very slowly. But then again, Amazon is being a bit more conservative than Google have been over the past couple of years. And that's probably a good thing. They're kind of working behind the scenes and getting everything legalized, sort of. Or at least not having as shitty a system. Well, not everything, but they're trying not to get as shitty a system as YouTube currently does, because just the automation that you get on YouTube and just having everything being, well, on YouTube, if you get like a copyright strike, an actual DMCA claim, you're guilty until proven innocent. That's how it goes. So if Amazon manages to work around that with Twitch and make Twitch a proper YouTube competitor, I say bring it. Bring it.
Yeah, competition in this space is good because YouTube's quality is going downhill, despite the fact that they have some interesting tools. Yeah, some of the stuff that YouTube pulls is le sketch. But what if you want to get into making Linux games? Perhaps you'd like a programming tutorial, or perhaps you'd like some samples of already made games that you can screw around with in order to, get some foundation. No, here's a list of programs. This is from michaelb.org. He has an article on game development processes using Linux. He suggests a couple tools, including Godot, Inkscape, GIMP, Blender, Audacity, LMMS.
Hey, man, he has a very informative graphic about Godot that scenes or you use vertical rectangles as opposed to horizontal rectangles. And
so it's some sort of weird lever system as opposed to piano, I guess.
I don't know.
But yeah, this is an okay high-level overview of stuff you would need to know, some software you would need to use in order to get into Linux game development. Though I feel a better article would definitely be something about actual game tutorials, maybe some Unreal Engine 4 resources, or Godot resources, or Unity resources, so that you don't give baby a chainsaw and expect him to carve a bear sculpture.
Man, if there was only a Canadian online currently live streaming pretty much every day of the week about developing a game.
Are you saying twitch.tv/Scott Michaud has some pretty informative streams regarding game development?
Oh, hell no. Have you ever watched any of those? Absolutely not. Maybe we can come up with
he has absolutely no idea what he's talking. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He actually does. If you are a subscriber to PC Perspective, you will have seen one of like a little video thing that they did explaining how asymmetric rendering works. That was pretty good. That was Scott all the way. He does really good work. It's awesome.
So Foxdog does bring up a point that this is apparently the first in a series of articles about Linux game development. So I guess this is your basic table of contents, I suppose. Doesn't really change my opinion on it. But
yeah, he does describe the hardware, and for those people who aren't as aware of
XP has arrived in PlayStation rasterization. Oh man, come on! What are you talking about? PlayStation rasterization issues? That's never been an issue with the PS1, man. Come on, what are they talking about, Jordan?
Well, this is from libretro.org. They're talking about the Metanefin Beetle PC SPGXP. It's a geometry transfer and integer math subsystem, because the original PlayStation 1 was fairly gimped in terms of the hardware. The MIPS processor and several of the co-processors were just barely able to do some of the 3D math and whatnot. The guys at LibRetro have backported a new subsystem that removes wobbly polygons and a couple other things.
Yeah, first of all, wobbly polygons, that used to be my stage name back in the day. What they did, though, was wrong. It's evil. They're heretics. They're revisionist historians. Because if you just watch that video that we were playing, but I'll describe for the audio listeners, the original, they were showing a little bit of the Tomb Raiders. The original PS1, everything was kind of, spazzing out in the background with that wobbly poly effect. And they're like, oh, no. That's how the game actually looked. People don't want that, right, Jordan?
See, I disagree, because I think one of the main advantages of using an emulator is that you can overcome hardware limitations of the original system and play games in somewhat better quality than they were originally intended to be presented.
But there is something to what Ven said. It's like, historically, that's not how the game worked. And if you are going to sort of keep the original version, and keep some manner of accurate emulation going, then you will have to suffer through some wobbly polygons, as it were.
Pedro, Ben, how dare you have opinions that differ from mine? It's just heresy.
Yeah, I know, right?
The end of the day, gentlemen, take a shot. It's an option. You can cut it on and off. And then again, we're like, whoa, accuracy and all that. And while there's someone with larger neck beard than either of us three going, you can only play it on the original PS1 hardware if you want the true experience. So.
Well, to be fair, it also did the wobbly thing with the polygons on the Saturn, which is where I played the original Tomb Raider.
It did
use,
that too. Some weird polygon structure. They didn't use triangles. They used like
they used
octahedrons or some shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was insane because the Saturn at the time had like a dual core processor. It was like the first one.
It did, and no one knew how to use it, so they did.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you telling me? I could have had better performance in my Make My Video Saturn games?
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh no.
Missed opportunity, Brad.
And to close this section off, we have Nox Imperii, an open source game much in the vein of your Wing Commander privateers, or your elites, or your freelancers, or your escape velocities. You can download it. They have the new version, not 5.0.
Crew members, I'm disappointed.
Hearable, yes. But it's based on an open source game called Knave. They've added some background for map screens and improved galaxy clusters, new space backgrounds, faction missions for Beetlejuice, and a few other minor tweaks and fixes. You can check this out from GitHub and build it. You will need to install libzipdevel, and Ben had to do it. I had to do it. Thankfully, the packages have the same names.
Hey, man, thankfully this is using the old good old-fashioned back in my day when you just ran configure with things, none of this fancy CMake bullshit. And it was like, yeah, I need that libzip, and I was like, plug that in, compiled out of the box. Outside of that, I didn't need anything special. I was really good at flying down and to the left, mashing shit on my keyboard.
Yes,
and it didn't do
apparently
anything.
someone never played the enhanced remake of Asteroids that you got from the Scholastics book school thing, because it's PC Asteroid style. You use A and D to turn and W to accelerate. And I guess S also accelerates to some degree. I'm not 100% sure on that. I derped around with it for a little bit, but this sort of game was never my particular cup of tea. But it's there if you want it. It's open source, so we're definitely going to give it a plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Pedro, you're running Arch, so you don't know how to compile things, so you didn't get a...
Technically, I'm running Ubuntu Mate. I didn't bother compiling it because I looked at it. It's like, that's a thing, and both of you already compiled it, so I'm just not gonna do it.
Jordan, riddle me this, Batman. That was a lot larger download than I was expecting.
I didn't actually pay attention. I set the git clone, and then I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, I was done.
Megs, man.
Yeah, that's a bit much. I don't know what 400 megs are.
I was so tempted because I know you're on metered bandwidth. I was like, it was 9 gigs.
No! Yeah, Luke Cage already ate up a bunch of my metered bandwidth this month. But enough of that. Coming up next, we enter the 4th dimension and want to really slap some guy in the face repeatedly. There are 4 possible chairs you can get in the Chairquisition. Pavilion is a 4th-person puzzle game. Coincidence? I think not. This is Pavilion from Vision Trick Media. Written on the Unity engine, you can pick it up for about $9-10 wherever the hell you live. Except if you're in Space Tanzania. What is it? Pavilion is a 4th-person puzzling adventure. Throws you directly into the mysterious world without any text tutorials or beginning explanations, although it needs several. A puzzle game portrayed through exploration and audio-visual imagery. Yeah, well, that's a heaping pile of pretentiousness. We're going to dig into that a little bit more in the Chairquisition. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. 4 chairs means that it's amazeballs. We also got our categories Doom, mixed with the working Shiny Sounds, Controls, and Foon. So let's kick this off. Did Pavilion make with the working Ven?
Over here on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS, which is the best LTS, box of business with a 980 displayed at UHD, some people like to call it 4K, with an 8150, not really overclocked, but running at 4 gigajoules. Nothing really to report. I mean, it ran out of the tin, and no complaints. Maintained a solid 60 at 1080p and 3840 by 2160. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say. So, wait, I have one thing to say. 4 chairs.
Well, on Fedora 24, 64-bit with the i7 6700K and the GTX 980, it didn't really give you a resolution option, so it ran out of the box with the default settings on the hardware. I guess I gotta give it 4 chairs.
Yep. Same here on Ubuntu Mate 1604 LTS, the not so good LTS, but still an LTS, I guess it qualifies, with the AMD FX 8370E overclocked at 4.2 gigahertz and the GTX 1080 from Gigabyte. It held 60, except during area transitions, but I guess that's to be expected to a degree. But yeah, 4 chairs.
All right, so that's 4 chairs with mix with the working. Up next is the shinny and the sound. So, Ven, how did it shin and how did it sound?
Well, one of the things you're definitely going to notice about this beautiful, beautiful game is, well, your first thought, I shouldn't say. Your first thought's going to be, have you ever enabled the, show touch or cursor device on an Android tablet or mobile? Because that's how you navigate this motherfuckers. And it will distract you from those beautifully drawn levels because they are gorgeous. They are well done. They are highly detailed. But that little bowl, how you activate everything, is going to just fucking distract you completely because it's just so damn out of place and it doesn't fit the game's aesthetic. I don't know why it was there. Maybe they were like, okay, this is going to be a mobile game. Like, oh shit, the touch targets are too small and you can't really tell, so fuck it, we're just going to roll with it. The levels, the puzzles, whatever you want to call them, again, they are wicked beautiful. They're hella intricate. A lot of love and a lot of time went into creating those. Nothing to complain about. It does have sounds. But, like Mr. Quasimodo, I hate the sound of bells. So that got noped almost instantaneously. We do have a live stream on the Twitch of Jordan playing it and me just screaming about bells while Jordan was screaming about bells and just screaming ring over and over and over. But 3 cheers for the shiny and sounds because, outside of glowy space orb thingy of like really everything else, bee's knees, man.
Yeah, the game has very pretty hand-drawn sprites and background, and the entire aesthetic is really, really gorgeous. And the ding sounds sound like bell dings. You can hear me complain about that all throughout that stream. Check that out on Twitch. But the one sore spot, like Ven mentioned, is the really crappy Photoshop smear-esque cursor you have to use to ding the bells and point the guy in the right direction, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. No real complaints otherwise, and it is very, very pretty, so that gets it 4 chairs.
Yeah, no, the cursor definitely looks out of place, but we'll get into that. For all my spiels about mechanics, narrative, and aesthetics, it's good to see a game which can focus on just the aesthetics and still be functional. I'll expand on that a bit later as well. Pavilion's focus is very clearly on the aesthetics, like the backdrops, the sprites, and even the dullard you're attempting to help navigate the world are very, very well drawn. The background music is very subtle, but very effective at creating a sort of quasi-theological setting with a healthy dose of atmosphere. It's a game which focuses on the show, don't tell school of game design, and I love that. I really do. It's like the moment you leave the main menu and get in game proper, there's no more text on screen. 4 chairs.
All right, so that's 3 whole chairs for Shiny and the sounds. Up next is controls. Then ding!
Dang, more like rang. Basically, your only control is that floaty little blob. And the only way you can use that is either with I use my Xclone controller, or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard organ. That's about it. You move, rang. You kind of might push-pull some puzzle elements, lift a gate or 2, rang some more. And that's it. You even made this fucking game require a controller on the NVIDIA Shield. Not making that shit up, man. I mean, that's a true thing. I mean, why not? I mean, with something like this, why not let me directly interact with my gerbil, my point-clicky thing, like, I don't know, every other game since forever has done. Why not? Let me do that. You're either trolling all of the players, everyone who purchased this game, or you being stupid on purpose. I don't know which one it is. And, I wanted to give it 2 chairs, but I'm not going to give this 2 chairs for the controls because of that RTAR decision, because it does allow you to do something. It allows you to play this in big picture mode without needing the areola controller or any type of fuckery on your Steam box, which I guess is a good thing, ? So, they're a bit sluggish. Not slow. Well, it is slow. It gets complex when you have to do a bunch of things, as I'm sure Jordan can tell you. At one time where you just like, if I could just use my dribble and click, 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 I'd be done out of this puzzle. Kind of ding it on that. But everything else is completely functional because there's not much to it, but 3 chairs.
Ding! Yeah, you control the guy by ringing bells and turning off lights and dragging things to block. Guys, I just really want an option to slap him whenever he does something stupid. Because I feel that is a better incentive than taking advantage of his fear of the dark. But, yeah, you can't use, to echo my cohorts, you cannot use the mouse for moving the cursor around, which is really, really dumb. I often like to use the control section to discuss the rules of the game, because, and I'll get into this a little more in the fun section, but really, like, you have to deal with like this really stupid pathfinding AI to solve puzzles, and it's just working around that and not really engaging with the game beyond that. So I have to give it 2 chairs because bad rules.
Yeah. Controls, in order not to break immersion, need to be spot on. And the way you make spot on controls in a game where your agency as a player is conveyed by a cursor is to use the tool people most often use and are familiar with. Which, in the case of a fucking cursor, is a goddamn mouse. How do you make a game where your visual representation in game itself is a fucking cursor and not have mouse control over it? How do you justify that? The closest you can get to actual mouse control is if you have a mistress of your own or an areola controller, as it were, and you set one of the areolas to work as enhanced camera control or joystick mouse, as Steam Big Picture Mode calls it. If you set one of those to work as it, at that point it will work basically like a touchpad, and you can sort of kind of use it, but it's a very teeny tiny area. It's like really, really tiny. So
you mean a tiny areola, right?
Yeah, it's a really tiny areola. So for me, and the fact that you can't really rebind controls because again you're just controlling a cursor, so it gets 2 chairs for the controls.
That's 2 whole chairs for controls. Let's wrap this up, put a bow on it. Ben, did you have fun playing Pavilion?
Absolutely, tons and tons of fun. Man, I can't even hear you. All the fun I'm having. Not really. Listen, man, I found a way to play this game because, we do want to put some time and some hours. And technically, I played this game longer than even what it says on my Steam because Jordan and I put another hour into it, and we kind of make single-player games co-op. And I was like, okay, ding that thing, we move. I did manage to help during that live stream, and I was like, you're getting red herring, son. And that was the one time I had something to contribute for once. But if I'm playing it here, you're playing the home version, the Forever Alone version, by yourself, like most people like me are. If you just leave it running in the background, because you'll play with the puzzle, you get pissed off, you're like, screw this thing. You go, do some work, then you're like, oh, wait, it's still running. Okay, maybe you'll have time and care enough to solve another puzzle. I found outside of doing a live stream and some type of performance for other people, I didn't really feel a reason to continue on doing it. So if I could squirrel a bit and come back to it, that's pretty... Yeah, that's pretty much how it worked. And yeah, we're not getting off to a good start, are we? But I don't know, man. It just genuinely never clicked with me. I found the puzzles, they were more frustrating than challenging. That's never a good sign. It's like, I understand how to do this. Just do this. Get this lobotomized ass banjo that you're trying to control. But more importantly, the game doesn't exactly go out of its way to explain why you should bother playing it in the first place. You just don't. No, you're like, okay, you're dropped in. Okay, lobotomized ass banjo, run around and do your thing, ring the bells, move the platforms, and you quit caring because why are you attached to this person? Outside of $9.99, I don't know why. And if you do a search for fourth-person game, just do a search for that. All you'll find is this game because it's the most fucking pretentious thing I've ever heard. And this is not fourth-person puzzling adventure. Nay. It's a dick god simulator who just happens to have a raging clue for ringing bells. That's what this game is about. Nothing more. It is gorgeous. It's well done. But it's just missing the thing. I don't know what it is, but whatever that thing is, it's not there that makes me want to play.
Immersion.
Something, man. One chair.
Yeah, one thing people fail to realize is that outside of third person, once you start adding more people on it, it's still third person because you're looking at it. First person is looking through your perspective. Second person is looking through the perspective of someone looking at you. Third person is some other party, and fourth person is that same other party, and so on and so forth, which made me scream pretentious bullshit this first time I read that description. And if you caught the scream on Wednesday, because I was screaming quite a bit, you saw a few of the puzzles, and they're not so much logic as process of elimination, because again, if your little buddy there had half a brain, I think if he had the brain of like maybe a 6-year-old, he could put 2 and 13 together and actually figure out how to solve most of these puzzles in about 30 seconds. I want to compare this game to a much better artsy puzzle game, The Bridge. The Bridge fucks with you because it gives you the simple solution that you think, oh yeah, I'm just going to do that. Wrong. Oh, here's another solution. Maybe that's it. Wrong. And you actually have to think about how the pieces interact with the levels in order to accomplish what you're trying to do. You need to think several steps ahead. In this, the main character is an idiot. You say you don't even know where he's going to go until you actually ring the bell and place things, because there are little nooks and crannies that the isometric view will hide away. And oh, he could walk through that? What the shit? Why doesn't he just take the shortest path? Because he's an idiot. And you have to suffer through this for the entire game. And it's like pulling teeth. I cannot have fun with this. I don't understand how anyone can have fun with this. One chair.
Yeah, we've had puzzle games before which stride the line between simple and simplistic. The very first game that pops into my mind is Stephen's Sausage Roll. Not just for its simplicity, but also for almost the utopic reliance on mechanics. Stephen's Sausage Roll eschewed fancy aesthetics and all manner of preformed narrative to focus on a very simple but effective set of mechanics. And even the very basic aesthetics you had in Stephen's Sausage Roll they served only to complement those mechanics. Everything you needed to solve a puzzle was always on screen the entire time. That is how you make a genius puzzle game. You give players a gun, and then you sit back and you grab some popcorn while you watch them repeatedly shoot themselves in the foot. Pavilion, on the other hand, is definitely trying to do, well, it's trying to do something similar, but it fails to grasp the quote-unquote simplicity factor. Yes, the art is very, very pretty, but if you're making me scroll through an entire screen's worth of nothing, there's nothing there. Why? Just so you could put more pretties that really do nothing, and that ends up artificially inflating the difficulty because I can't see exactly which bell is going to lead where, then you haven't made a game. You've made a pretentious piece of masturbatory art, which I guess in turn explains the whole fourth person denominator thing. It is a very aesthetically pleasing piece of masturbatory art, I'll give you that. But you fail to grasp the simple concept that in 2016, a cursor is driven by a mouse, and in your hubris to show us all your lovely hard work, you've artificially padded your game in completely unnecessary ways. Maybe it's just me and my unwavering preference for mechanics, but considering what Ben and Jordan already said, it's very clearly not. So for me, it gets one chair.
That's one chair for the fun segment. Tallying all this up, we get 2 whole chairs for the game with an asteroid. Final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen.
With this game, I don't know. Make it moddable, change the glowy orb of doesn't belong in the game, do something with it, doesn't fit the entire look and feel of the game, to a taser, or just give me a taser, or bullets, or fire, or something. This is not fourth person, this is Smitey Dick God Simulator. I mean, by that definition of fourth person, black and white, that's racist. Or The Sims, they're all fourth person games, because it's the same fucking mechanic. Maybe it was like, well, you're influencing this to make him do that. And it's like, yeah, God Simulator.
Yeah, no. While it does rub me specifically the wrong way, it's a very good-looking puzzler. It is. Can't really argue that. Even if the whole fourth-person thing just means you're playing a much more forgiving back-to-bed, that's a game, look it up, without the bunny-eared dog person, it doesn't really match up to any other puzzler game out there on Steam right now. And I mentioned Steven's Sausage Roll. That's a very good puzzle game. Play that instead.
Yeah, Steven Sausage Roll is fucking hardcore. This game is pretty much that cute individual of your gender preference of choice at the bar who you go up and try to chat up, and then when they open your mouth, you realize they're just completely stupid. This is that game. It is all flash and no substance, which is kind of the opposite of what a puzzle game needs to be, substantive. So, coming up next, Che declares war on Linux Gamecast, and we discuss the pros and cons of the various Wailing Fungus albums.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we live streamed on YouTube. You have absolutely no excuse to not be watching us live, because you totally should be. But in case you're not, and you think that we said something which wasn't, 100% factually correct, and you'd like to send us your 2 cents on it, you can do that by going over to linuxgamecast.com, hitting the contact button on the little nav bar there, filling out the form. It's pretty easy. You just have to pick LGC Weekly if you want to send some hate mail, or Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays if you want to send some feedback. And then you fill out the form and you prove that you are smarter than whatever CAPTCHA is going on under there right now. But yeah, you could, if you find a video on YouTube, like the fully edited thing, or on Patreon, if you're one of the people kicking us a few shackles every now and then, we very much appreciate it. And you can also leave us a comment there, and if it's a pertinent question, we will feature it right here, right now. So, who got in touch with us this week?
Well, first off, Che Dean from that other Linux gaming website sent us a mail about Warhammer, and he says, I get that pop-up about the out-of-date driver as well, and I'm on 1604. As far as building goes, I'd say if you prefer the multiplayer arena matches, because you can build buildings to unlock your tactic tree in those battles. My own favorite is The Last Stand, which actually suits LGC perfectly because 3 of you go in and try to defeat all the AI waves of enemy. Hard at first because you need to level your characters. The Bloodied Coliseum is the best one to get started with. Once you're leveled to 20, you can move on to the Anvil of Corn for more of a challenge, and also enhanced pooping. And the good news for Jordan is you can play as the Necron in the town the game mode provided you have the DLC. Well, that's actually interesting. I might check that out. Thank you, Che.
Yeah, this is about Dawn of War 2.
We should say, I don't think we said on the show last week, contacted Feral because we had this one issue with our production box, which just is not having multiplayer. With, it was like, listen, man, we know it's not supported, but out of some morbid curiosity, here's the issue. And they're like, all right, that sounds crazy enough. Send us the log files, and send over the log files, and they're like, shrug emoticon, maybe a certificate issue. And I was like, I don't know, but it'll probably get sorted. I mean, eventually I'll upgrade from 1404 to Susie. Pedro?
No, it's Dawn of War 2. It's, like I said last week, it's one of the very few RTSs in the past couple of years to actually get me to sit down and play it and enjoy my time doing it. So yeah, if we can get all 3 of us, that's definitely probably something we'll do, maybe.
Okay, well, how about something less serious? Oh, wait, shit, this one is kind of serious. All right. Wailing Fungus 04, he writes, Epic's Cold Shoulder. Jordan, this is for you.
Fine, I'll read this. Hey, Jordan, the Wailing Fungus 04 album sucked because I lost our lead guitar player just after Wailing Fungus 03 came out. I'm glad at least someone agrees with me on that. Anyways, I'm quite annoyed right now with Epic and Unreal Engine 4. I want to work with UE4 because I think it's better than Unity 3D, but Unity 3D is showing a lot more love for Linux than Epic. Download a deb for Unity 3D, install in a few minutes, and it works, and has access to their asset store. Download UE4 source because no binaries exist. Compile for a couple hours, only to have it fail. I'm down the little tricks to get it to compile. Few more hours spent. Another couple hours compiling shaders just to get a workspace that has access to the starter content. Found out that more content is delivered through Epic's Game Launcher Marketplace, not available on Linux. Go to Epic's Linux wiki page and try to download some sample content they say is there for Linux users. All I get is a 404, aka the shit's not there. What the fuck? I'm not feeling the love from Epic. I'm just a hobbyist trying my hand with making a few small games for my kids. Both engines claim that you can make games without writing code. What experience have you had with these game engines? Let the verbal beating begin. My body is ready.
Well, Brad, whoever said that you can create a game with UE4 without writing code should be drug out into the woods and fed upon by the clown posse.
Filth and lies.
Or Shia LaBeouf, at least. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta agree with the fungus. Getting UE4 up and running under Linux is a pain. I suppose someone in the community could take it upon themselves to, put together some Arch package or some Deb or some RPM to create some sort of standardized package for the engine. That would be great. But for someone who wants to start fooling around with the engine, there is a lot of stuff you need to go through. I've went through it, and it's a pain. I got it up and running once, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's too much work. And then I had to reinstall because Fedora 22 hit end of life. And I thought to myself, yeah, no, let's not do that again. But yeah, it's so enough work that you'd probably end up going back to Unity or Godot just to get some freaking work done. Epic, what the fuck? Fix your shit.
Yeah,
Make it
I guess
good.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like Unreal Engine 4 is like coming from the old school Smitey Dick Linux days of like, hey man, here's the source. Do it yourself. I mean, you can compile it. I compiled it like day of or day after it was fucking released, and it was nightmare fuel. But it was a learning experience, and I learned things. If you're looking for something, it's just going to work out of the box, yeah, Unity. It's great, but it does come with the caveat that it's Unity, and some features are missing. Pedro, what do you think? I don't think Epic... I think it's more the community on the Linux side for Unreal Engine 4. There's like...
It is only the community when it comes to Unreal Engine 4, because... As much as I want Unreal Engine 4 to be the de facto standard of game engines of games coming out for
You were
Linux,
secretly rooting for Crysis this entire time. I know, you filthy bastard.
Lumberyard or bust, fools.
guilty as charged. But it's even when Team Sweeney was complaining about Windows or Microsoft doing this and that and trying to make Windows not work with certain specific things. And then like a week later, Windows 10 introduced that thing where you couldn't even install drivers without the root certificate or whatever. He not once during his entire Twitter rant did he ever mention Linux. So they are very clearly supporting Linux, quote unquote, by what Strider said in Chat Realm. It's close to open source, almost open source.
That's exactly what he said. It's like, oh, let's start a holy war on fucking semantics and what we believe.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, do they provide the source? Yes. Can you use it? Yes. Is there some licensing shit? Yeah, but it's not really open source. It's like, let's not fight about that.
But there's also the fact that some or most of the 50K grants that Unreal Engine 4 gave to
people making tutorials for the game engine.
Precisely, it was for tutorials because it's not an engine that you just set up and you get started. There's a bit of a learning. Well, it's not a learning curve. It's a fucking wall that you have to climb over.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to say a AAA game engine is more complex than RPG Maker? How dare you, sir?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. And there's a lot of people in Chat Realm just screaming, Godot, use Godot. And yeah, if you're making games for your kids and it's just more of a hobby thing, use Godot. That's probably a good idea.
Pedro meant to say Ledvux, right?
Yeah.
Get on that bombshell. Let's cue the music, because you can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Time. Sometimes on the Tube, sometimes on the Twitch. We're just doing a little A/B comparison testing, see where people like it the most. Let us know. Send us that hate mail. Where do you prefer watching us? But I've been Vin Stone. You can always find me at Vin Stone on the Twitter nets, plus Vin Stone on the G pluses. If you want to scream at me, I will do my best to get back at you.
I'm Jordan Svung. You can find me begging for help, screaming for help. This is not a dance. Let me out at the Burning Pool on Twitter, plus Jordan Svung on Google Plus.
And I am Pedro Mateos. You can probably indulge me into commenting on something on Google Plus by spreading factually inaccurate things. You know who you are.
Listen, people,
I
you
saw
can
you.
probably just say something on the internet. If Pedro finds you, you're in for a world.
It can be factually accurate.
I like arguing on the internet. And if you'd like to argue back at me, you can do so over at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google Plus.
So, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, XKCD 386.
Yes.
Is it 386?
Should be X8664, goddammit!
Fuck arm! Hashtag lightest door of plus.
Oh, it's 927. Okay.
Which one's 386, I figured?
Let's see.
5 dudes.